The rain clouds were already crawling over the horizon when Daniel climbed the old ladder to the farmhouse roof. His hands were calloused, his shirt soaked with sweat, and his muscles burned from a day of work. He was just a single dad trying to make enough to keep food on the table for his son, Ethan. The storm warnings had gone out all morning, and most men would have gone home. But not Daniel. The woman who'd called for help lived alone, out on the edge of the county. He didn't know her story, just that she needed someone to fix a leaking roof before the storm hit. And Daniel couldn't say no to someone who needed help, not after everything he'd been through. When he knocked on the door earlier, she'd answered with quiet grace. Her name was Claire. Middle-aged, kind eyes, dressed simply in jeans and a sweater. There was something about her, calm, distant, but elegant. She'd offered him tea before he began, but Daniel refused. "Ma'am, I'll get it done before the rain starts. You don't have to worry." Now, up on the roof, the first drops began to fall. The wind was picking up. He worked fast, hammering shingles into place, sealing cracks, reinforcing the edge beams with tar and grit. The ladder shook once and his heart jumped, but he steadied it with one strong hand. From below, Claire called up, "Please, come down. It's getting dangerous." He smiled faintly. "Almost done, ma'am. Just one more corner." By the time he climbed down, drenched but smiling, the storm broke open behind him. Thunder rolled across the hills. Claire handed him a towel and ushered him inside. The farmhouse was warm and smelled faintly of old wood and rain. Ethan sat quietly by the fireplace, sipping cocoa Claire had given him earlier. "You didn't have to stay," Daniel said, glancing around. "I can fix the porch later, too." Claire looked at him, at the soaked clothes, the tired eyes, the way he gently wrung out his cap before speaking. "You risked your safety for me," she said softly. "You shouldn't have," he shrugged. "I don't do it for thanks, just felt like the right thing to do." That night, as the storm raged, she insisted they waited out inside. They talked for hours about Ethan's school, Daniel's late wife, his struggles working 2 jobs, and the little dreams he still held on to. Claire listened, really listened, the way no one had in a long time. And though she said little about herself, her eyes softened each time he spoke. When the storm finally calmed, Daniel prepared to leave. "How much do I owe you?" she asked. He smiled. "Just enough to cover materials. The rest, consider it my good deed for the day." She frowned. "You deserve more than that," he laughed quietly. "What I deserve doesn't always pay the bills, ma'am." He gathered his tools, thanked her again, and disappeared into the gray dawn with his son. But Claire couldn't sleep that night. She kept thinking about him, the sincerity, the humility, the quiet strength. The world she lived in, of mansions and contracts and dinner galas, felt suddenly meaningless compared to that kind of heart. 3 days later, she found herself driving into town. The same small hardware shop Daniel worked in. He looked up in surprise when she walked in, still in her fine coat. "Ma'am, everything all right with the roof?" "Yes," she said gently. "Perfect, actually." Then she smiled. "I came to ask if you'd consider something." "Bigger?" Daniel blinked. "Like what?" She took a deep breath. "I own several properties around the state. Old buildings, farms, places that need repair. I need someone honest. Someone I can trust to manage the restorations. Someone like you." Daniel froze. He almost laughed, thinking it was a joke. "Ma'am, I'm just a small-town repairman. I don't know anything about business like that." "You know about integrity," she said softly. "And that's worth more than all the degrees in the world." Ethan peeked out from behind the counter, eyes wide. "Dad, that means you get to fix lots of roofs." Claire laughed, a sound so genuine that Daniel felt the heaviness in his chest ease. Weeks turned into months. Daniel began working under her projects, traveling across counties, restoring homes and barns, bringing them back to life. His reputation grew, and so did his confidence. Claire was there often, visiting job sites, bringing lunch, talking with Ethan. Slowly, something unspoken began to form between them, built on respect, kindness, and shared solitude. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Daniel stood on a finished porch beside her. "Still don't understand why you trusted me with all this," he said quietly. She looked at him with a soft smile. Because you fixed more than my roof that day. He frowned slightly. What do you mean? You reminded me what it means to care about people again. When she finally told him the truth, that she wasn't just a property owner, but one of the wealthiest women in the state, Daniel was stunned. You're saying you own half the state? He said, half laughing. She nodded, looking almost embarrassed. I didn't want you to treat me differently. He just shook his head, smiling. Wouldn't matter. You're still the lady whose roof I fixed before the storm. Years later, people would still whisper about them, the wealthy landowner and the single dad who taught her the meaning of home again. Because in the end, storms don't just break things. Sometimes, they bring the right people to your door and teach you that love, like a good roof, is built on strength, patience, and faith that it can weather anything.